This has been a total debacle. Pam Bondi needs to get fired. So last night, in the middle of the night, they finally released something like 46,000 more files. And Pam Bondi just made President Trump look horrible. This is unforgivable. Look, they just fired Kristi Noem yesterday for embezzlement. Pam Bondi's got to go too. And Donald Trump just really has to stop hiring these women, like these boss women that he thinks make him look good. They're just absolutely garbage at their job. And the sad thing is, if she had just released everything all at once, we would have been able to deal with this. But now she released this and it's being used to absolutely smear Trump, and it's 100% her fault. Before we get into that, I'm really glad I have a sponsor for this video, and that's Rumble Wallet. You may have seen conversations well like this happening online lately. Censorship is back, and it's happening to everyone. Platforms are controlling narratives and pushing the stuff that they want us to see. We need to fight back. Rumble is the only company that has stood the test of time and deserves our support. On one side, Rumble is challenging big tech censorship, but on the other, they have introduced something that will give us protection from big banks shutting us off. Banks can cancel our accounts and freeze our cards. That's why they launched Rumble Wallet, a wallet that no one can cancel and a wallet that supporters can use instantly to tip creators like myself without any middlemen taking cuts. With Rumble Wallet, you control your money. Not a bank, not a government, not a tech company, not even Rumble can touch it. It's yours and only yours. You can buy and save digital assets like Bitcoin, Tether Gold, and now USAT. Tether's US regulated stablecoin in one place. Tether Gold is real gold on the blockchain with ownership of physical gold bars. USAT keeps your money steady against inflation with no banks needed. It's not only a wallet to buy and save, but also allows you to support your favorite creators by easily tipping them with the click of the button. There will be no fees when you tip my channel or others. We actually receive the money instantly. Support my show and take control of your financial freedom over at wallet.rumble.com. Download Rumble Wallet today, open an account, and step away from big banks. Or you can search Rumble Wallet on the app stores. So last night, Pam Bondi released the missing files, okay? The Justice Department has published FBI interviews with a woman who claims that Donald Trump was inappropriate with her when she was young, too, by the way. Not super young, but too young. The woman told agents that Trump struck her after she bit his junk when he attempted to force her to do something. I mean, this is heinous, but understand, this is an allegation. The left-wing media is now treating this like it's an absolute fact. There's also 46,000 other pages that nobody is reporting on. Now, if they had released, this is why I say Pam Bondi has to go. If they had just released everything at once, a year ago, 6 months ago, right? Trump could have came out and said, yeah, some crazy chick said some crazy thing about me, never happened. You can see that it's just an allegation. There was no evidence of it. This person also refused to be recorded, refused to go on the record. It's literally an anonymous tip. It could be from somebody who has complete Trump derangement syndrome. If you actually go and look at all of the allegations in here, in the files, many of them are completely insane. Now, obviously, if this was true about him, you know, he deserves to be investigated and all this, but it's just not. It's just another kooky, wild-brained accusation made by somebody who was probably trying to stop him from winning the presidency. But the issue is that Pam Bondi, in her absolute bungling of releasing these, has now given the media exactly what they wanted. Now they get to run these articles, bombshell, claim about Trump doing some this, that. Okay, well, if he bit him, then there'd be a scar, right? I guess we're going to have to see everybody's Trump's D-pick to confirm whether or not this happened. The FBI now also spoke to this person 4 times between August and October in 2019 after his arrest, but only a summary of a single one of those interviews had been included in publicly released files. And by the way, this was right up. Okay, so what this was probably leading up right into the 2020 election, and they wanted to have some dirt on Trump. And obviously, if there would have been anything actionable, Joe Biden's campaign or Kamala Harris's campaign would have put it out. That's been the one thing that nobody who has like TDS can really answer for me. Like, don't you think somebody would have released it by now? So, of course, she released it right after she got subpoenaed. The DOJ said last week it was reviewing whether or not the files had been improperly withheld after Democrats claimed Attorney General Pam Bondi of suppressing various allegations against Trump. Again, they're just allegations. I don't care. They're in the files. They should have come out a year ago. But now we have to deal with this leading into the midterms because of Pam Bondi. Bondi was subpoenaed by Congress on Wednesday as Republicans on the House Oversight Committee broke ranks amid mounting frustration at the handling of the files from the president's own party. The department announced late Thursday that the files had been incorrectly coded as duplicates, therefore inadvertently withheld along with other investigative documents related to the disgraced financier who was found, back in 2019. Now, of course, the White House press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, called the claims against Trump completely baseless, backed by zero credible evidence from a sadly disturbed woman who has an extensive criminal history. Now, why didn't you just say that a year ago? When you should have released everything a year ago. Now we have to relitigate all of this again. Quote, the total baselessness of these accusations is also supported by the obvious fact that Joe Biden's Department of Justice knew about them for 4 years and did nothing with them. I agree. Right? If Joe Biden could have stopped this, or if Joe Biden could have derailed Trump's presidency, or Kamala's, while Kamala ran, they would have done it. They didn't even release the fact that there was an allegation. That's how spurious it was. But because of Pam Bondi, now, it's on the front page of every liberal newspaper. As we've said countless times, President Trump did nothing wrong. President Trump has been totally exonerated by the release of the files. I agree. But because of Pam Bondi, now the headlines for the next week will be that. The woman had contacted the FBI shortly after Jeffrey's arrest and claimed a man named, quote, Jeff had done something very bad to her in Hilton Head, South Carolina in the early 1980s when she was around 13. She told agents she didn't even know who he was at the time, but decades later concluded that he was in fact Jeffrey when a friend texted her a photo from a news story. Maybe that's true. I don't know. From 1980s, that would have been long before he was really active. In a follow-up interview a month later, the woman then added a host of other claims, including that Jeffrey had schemed to have her mother sent to prison, hit her, arranged hookups with other men. The woman claims that happened when between she was 13 and 15. They took her to either New York or New Jersey, where they had very tall buildings with huge rooms, and introduced her to Donald. She claims that Jeff and Donald referred to them as fresh meat and untainted. Other people who were present, she said, though she couldn't recall who, but she knows it was Trump, asked them to leave, then said something to the effect of, let me teach you how you're supposed to be, the interview notes. Trump then allegedly did something terrible in which he bit. So basically he revealed something in which she bit the crap out of. So obviously there'd be scarring to identify this, right? The FBI file then contains no information about how the incident ended or how the woman left. The woman disclosed in one interview that she had begun working with attorneys and wanted to be upfront about her pending civil case in the event that the agents determined a conflict of interest. So she's just a money grab. It remains unclear what becomes of the FBI's investigation of the woman's claims. She also deemed ineligible. She was ineligible to be. She was also deemed ineligible for any of his victims' compensation program, which paid out more than 130 settlements. So 130 women got paid out from it, but for whatever reason, this woman was ineligible. I wonder why. There's absolutely no indication Jeffrey ever lived in South Carolina and had no evidence he and Trump even knew each other in 1983. At least 4 years before the president had even acknowledged becoming acquainted. So Trump didn't even know him at this time. Also, the DOJ noted in January that the documents contain untrue and sensationalist claims against President Trump that were submitted to the FBI right before the 2020 election, which completely tracks to me. Of course, this is just a lunatic making it up. I don't believe that Trump did that. There's zero evidence to support it. He didn't even know Jeffrey at that time. Jeffrey didn't even live in that state. It's just, I'm not doubting that something bad happened to this woman, but it wasn't these people. It wasn't Trump and it wasn't Jeffrey. If it was, she would have got paid out. If it was, the Democrats would have released it. If she had any credibility whatsoever, it would have been investigated like the other 130 cases that were investigated and got paid money. Okay. But whose fault is this? Pam Bondi. Because she could have put this out at the time and they could have addressed it at the time. But now it's, they were hiding this. And maybe they were. I don't know. Maybe they were. Maybe they were. Now, they say they were mistakenly, and by the way, none of the liberal, the New York Times, Forbes. Look at the headline on Forbes. Rich and powerful, the new files released with Trump claims. Do you think, okay, so the DOJ released 3 million documents January 30th. We knew about that. But now they released new stuff. Some people have stepped down, but have we seen updated February 3rd, let's see here. Oh, they don't even, so this entire article at no point, also includes the fact that this person was deemed not credible and that they just so happen to be making the claim right before the election. It was an obvious smear with no evidence, but because of Pam Bondi, now I'm not saying, I'm not saying that Jeff wasn't involved in creepiness, but this one is such an easy debunk. But Pam Bondi just handed the liberals everything they need because they just don't need to be honest about this. They don't need to present the truth. And it's all her fault. Absolutely ridiculous. I hope you're informed by this video. Excuse me, if you were, please do leave a like on it. If you haven't, please subscribe or follow down below. And we'll talk to you again real soon.